Hello, everybody. Oh, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having a great day. And without any ado that might be further, let's jump right into it. Here we go. You guys ready for broken record time? Over the course of the last few years, one of the main topics at hand, which has been a constant for not only me and a large portion of the cryptocurrency news, is how much Bitcoin there is not. I've gone over this in a multitude of videos, whether it be here or in the other channel called Money Rules. Very big thank you for all the new subscribers. Over the course of the last, even forever, a lot of new people are constantly joining the channel. I understand that as people, you all understand what numbers are and what they mean. However, there are a large, significant portion of people within the cryptocurrency space, and I mean even hyper more so, who are not into crypto, who do not and will not probably maybe never understand the significance of the amount of accumulation that's currently going on within our space. For those of you who are unaware, I'm not sure how you made it this far, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. We are currently at the point where I believe more than 90% of the Bitcoin that there ever will be has been created. 90%. We've seen numbers about accumulation, which I find very interesting, have not really appeared as much since the introduction of these institutions within the space. We used to have a lot of news, nearly, I want to say at least weekly, about the amount of accumulation happening from institutions, from normal people, the amount of Bitcoin that whales have, smaller people have, what have you, and we know that there's not a lot of Bitcoin left. Since the mega event that everyone has seemingly forgot or does not really care about as much anymore, of the advent of the age of the Bitcoin ETFs, see, I was correct all those months ago when I was adding all those S's, as we got 11 of them, a lot of people seemingly have forgot that the way that the ETFs work is that based off of the amount of interest in the actual fund, the fund is going to start buying and accumulating a large amount of Bitcoin. I mentioned all of that to you before, but I think it's something, especially even in the news, I'm constantly shocked at the amount of Cathie Wood news, the amount of Tether news, the amount of Elon Musk news, the amount of Ethereum ETF news, the amount of XRP speculation, the amount of countries who are banning or unbanning or talking about cryptocurrencies, the amount of India cryptocurrency news. I'm a little lightly perplexed because that's not the news that should be at the forefront. It's cool that people are talking about different things, but I will tell you right here and right now, I do not care about how much stock that Cathie Wood is buying or selling, or how much she still loves Coinbase, or how much of her own fund that she's also buying. Like literally, she's buying her own fund. Like you can Google it. It's a really weird phenomenon that's currently taking place. The news that stands out to me, and I find it to be lightly far more important than everything else that's currently going on. We now know exactly how much Bitcoin these companies, the people who have the ETFs, how much Bitcoin that they actually have. The article starts off a bit, dramatic. It says, in a stunning revelation, I'll let them have it. BlackRock, the world's largest everything, has alone themselves for their spot Bitcoin ETF. As the fund sees more interest and money flows into it, they buy an equivalent amount of Bitcoin to back it up. BlackRock alone has amassed, they have now 16,361 Bitcoin for their recently listed spot Bitcoin ETF. I've been looking around for the cumulative number between them and every other ETF, And the numbers are wildly different depending on, I guess, at what time someone made the article, when they were discussing it, when they wrote it, when it was published. But I've seen reports that the 11 companies over the course of the last, it's been 2 weeks, give or take exactly, that they now have themselves 60,000 Bitcoin, 60,000 Bitcoin just for themselves. I was chatting with a very good friend. Hello, friend. And we were talking about if these numbers, not to say that they're not true, but it's more of a, if these are the actual numbers and that's the movement that we've seen, 60,000 Bitcoin has been accumulated in 2 weeks by these companies. What could that possibly mean over the course of a 10-week period? Would they then have around 50, no, rather 5, no, what? Multiplication's wrong, 500,000 to 600,000 Bitcoin. For those of you who don't know the numbers, it is believed that there's maybe between 1 to 1.2 million Bitcoin that's actually up for grabs. How do we have that number? Well, these companies, Chainalysis and Sentiment, they know the cryptocurrency exchange wallets for Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, all the other names out there, and they found the numbers and they did multiplication and added on their phone, and they came up with the numbers between 1 to 1.2 million. The problem, and the actual problem is that not all of that Bitcoin is liquid. That Bitcoin belongs to a lot of you, and you have it on cryptocurrency exchanges because you want another safe, air quotes, place for you to be able to hold your coins. So you may have a couple of ledgers, you may have some on a laptop, you may have another fragment on Coinbase, but the thing is that not everyone is planning on selling their Bitcoin. And even more so from the people who literally are not selling any of their Bitcoin or using it until it hits $1 million, is that a lot of people the majority of people will not be selling off their Bitcoin and or fragments of a Bitcoin until they get a hefty profit from it. So there are a lot of people who want to make 200K from their Bitcoin, who want to make $500,000. They kind of want it to be worth it if they're going to be selling their Bitcoin. This means that, or would mean that, until we get to around $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 per Bitcoin, a lot of people won't be selling off fractions and or entire Bitcoin, which means that a large portion of that 1 to 1.2 million is illiquid. It's not going to move. So how much Bitcoin is actually on cryptocurrency exchanges that is actually available to buy? We've also had a lot of rumors recently that these institutions who are buying, that they're buying OTC, they're buying over the counter. So we do not see the buy and sell orders on cryptocurrency exchanges explicitly. We know that the movements of coins is happening, but we don't know exactly who's owning them. And we also aren't seeing price movements based off of that level of accumulation. If there are then the number that I threw out before, the 1 to 1.2 million, if there are then only, let's say mathematically, a good 40, maybe 50% of coins, 400,000 to 600,000 coins actually left for grabs, up for grabs, left for people, 400,000 to 600,000 coins left for 8 billion people. Well, what happens if in 10 more weeks after this, from the time of you watching this video, these institutions have nearly all the actual liquid coins before we even hit the halving? Right. BlackRock at the moment has 16,361 Bitcoin. That we know about, like, openly, that has to be filed through the actual SEC. The iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBIT, now boasts a staggering market valuation of 707 million. Of course, it maybe is fluctuating as I make this video, making it a significant player in the digital currency arena. That's an understatement. It's not like they're BlackRock and they're going to be buying a lot more. Understand that BlackRock for themselves, this is the Bitcoin that they're holding through their fund. This company is also buying and accumulating Bitcoin for the company. This is not explicitly like this 16,000 is just for the people who are within their fund. It is not BlackRock themselves. If you think that BlackRock is not also buying Bitcoin, this is probably not the market for you. It says, surprisingly, this has surpassed even Tesla's accumulation. BlackRock's Bitcoin holdings now rank as the third largest among public companies, underscoring the swift success of the newly launched ETF. Notably, this remarkable achievement transpired less than a week after the spot ETFs debuted on, my English is terrible, debuted on the NASDAQ. This is a tweet, and it is incredibly significant because a lot of people just simply are not paying attention. It said, let me put this into context, how insane $10 billion in volume is in the first 3 days. Listen up closely. There were 500 ETFs that were launched over the course of 2023. 500 ETFs that were launched just in 2023 alone. Today, they did a combined, all 500 of those ETFs combined did $450 million in volume. 500 ETFs from different companies did $450 million. The best one did $45 million. And many have had months to get going. iBit alone is seeing more activity than the entirety of 500 ETFs launched over the course of an entire year. 500 ETFs did $450 million. BlackRock alone, $10 billion in volume in the first 3 days. Here's the chart for it right here. And this one is the actual BlackRock one that we are currently discussing. They're here and they're not playing. I don't mean to sound too serious, what have you, for this, portion of the video, but please understand that it is real and it has gotten real. I've had a number of friends, people, what have you, sending me messages asking me about the movements in the Bitcoin market. Why is Bitcoin not higher? What's actually going on? As of now, there are tons of rumors as to what could have caused the movement down in the prices over the course of the last couple of days. But the accumulation is quite strong. They're buying over the counter. And a lot of the news that we've been getting about a supply crunch are incredibly real. There's a reason why these companies are not buying directly from crypto exchanges. It's because they would have caused the market to skyrocket. As a company, as a BlackRock, as a Fidelity, as a Van Eck, you don't want that to happen because you want your fund to be able to accumulate as much as possible at a lower price. If you can accumulate Bitcoin at $46, $43, $42, $41, $40,000 compared to the $200, $300, $400, and or $500,000 that a lot of people are expecting is going to happen. You can remain skeptical about the 400 or 500,000, but if they're literally taking all the Bitcoin off the market to put into this fund and it is not being reflected on crypto exchanges, as we get closer to the halving, people are going to continue buying a lot more Bitcoin, and it's going to be on crypto exchanges. It is typically, it is institutions who buy OTC over the counter for large amounts of money, as they do not want to move the market. This is across multiple markets. It's not just crypto. It'll be normal people who are buying, who are not paying attention now, who are going to move the market up. This is the way that it always is. And once again, I'm still giving it a couple more, literally months. The news that we had that there was going to be a pump in Bitcoin's price as we move closer to the halving of that 100K, I think will become abundantly clear. But at the time of me making this video, the news is that there's literally not a lot left, especially if you get a chance. Watch my last video from yesterday, and you will be quite shocked the amount of activity that's happening, how much accumulation is taking place, how much money there really is in this market right now, and the just generalized hype of always the Bitcoin halving, the Bitcoin issuance rate, which continues to collapse as there is not a lot left. When these people are mining Bitcoin, they may sell off a few to keep their lights on, but they're not mining Bitcoin to put back into the ecosystem. They're keeping it for themselves. And even when they do sell that crypto, a lot of times it is sold over the counter to institutions, and or the small amount that does go to crypto exchanges tends to be gobbled up quite quickly. Yeah. At the moment, we have at least that number. I assume, especially by the time we get into February, further into February, I'll give it mid-February, we are going to have very concrete and firm numbers from these companies as to exactly how much they have. And I have a feeling it will not take us that long before they surpass having 100,000 Bitcoin themselves. And if that continues over the course of the next couple of weeks, buckle up, because a lot of people are not N-O-T prepared. That's the BlackRock Bitcoin accumulation news. Yeah. Let's move on. Also sure, why not? The Binance Coin Foundation has recently announced the successful completion of their 26th quarterly Binance Coin burn, an important event for the Binance Coin chain, with a massive dollar equivalent of Binance Coin burned. The idea is, since the very beginning when Binance Coin was launched, I believe it was launched with 200 million coins, they announced that they would be burning coins until they only had 100 million coins left. It's to make the coin more scarce, what have you. Since then, every quarter, they've been burning anywhere from, I think the earliest ones were a couple 100,000, but we always consistently have over 1 to 3 million coins that are burned at any given time. A lot of people love it. It's something that happens in the market. You may have noticed a lot of different coins have some type of a burn mechanism. This is one of the more popular ones, as it's actually done by the company. The latest token burn conducted by the Binance Coin chain included significant figures that highlight the scale and impact. Apparently, the total amount of coins that were burned were 2.14 million coins at one time. The approximate value of the burn was $636 million, which will never, ever, ever, ever see the light of day again, which I think is really weird. If you kind of put that number into context, I don't think it ever hit me that hard before. Seeing that number, I think just realizing exactly how life-changing $636 million is, and then I separated that into 636 different people, and I was like, $1 million would do a lot for a lot of people. So 636 times to have burned those coins and they will never, ever enter circulation again is quite intense. Here's an actual, I don't know how they have graphics like that, but it looks like something from Final Fantasy. Like literally, this looks like a Final Fantasy 16 kind of icon. It says Binance Coin burned 2.14 million, approximately 636 million US dollars. It was 1.41% of the entire supply. Here's all the other numbers that we have right here as well. Usually their burns consist of around 1%, except for here, 1% of the entirety of the coin. Yeah, usually always makes very big news. They're not as frequent as it is quarterly. They're not as frequent as Shiba Inu or Terra Luna Classic or any other coin that's doing this burn mechanism, but I don't know exactly how many coins are left, but I would assume a couple 23323.611131818. There's probably that. I assume they maybe only have 20 more burns left until they've gotten to their actual 100 million only Binance coin thing. And then I still have a bit of an inkling they're probably going to try and implement something else, maybe a slower burn, so that the coins continue to become more valuable. Probably like an XRP kind of thing, whereas transactions are happening, maybe only 0.01 is burned, or who the heck knows what they're going to do. Cool. Fantastic. That's the Binance coin burn news. And yeah, Let's move on. It's not often that I say that I hope this actually happens, because usually in the cryptocurrency space, we had a pretty good track record of someone saying something and then it does happen. If this actually takes place, I can't begin to explain the amount of joy that would come into my life. JPMorgan's CEO, his name is Jamie Dimon, D-I-M-O-N, not Diamond, has extended his long-term criticism of Bitcoin because he literally has nothing else to do with his life. These people are so obsessed with Bitcoin that they did not get in early enough, that they don't own all of it, that they're not in control of the issuance rate, and that literally nobody even wants them in the market. They do everything that they can to continuously talk about Bitcoin, because I personally cannot imagine having billions of dollars and choosing to spend my time talking about something that I claim that I do not like. It would not happen. It would not take place. I would do anything else. Jamie Dimon considers the maiden cryptocurrency to lack real-world use cases, besides promoting illicit vices such as money laundering. Money laundering is not an illicit vice. It is something that was created by governments to not have an outflow of money from their borders. The idea is the more money that you have flowing out of your borders, the cheaper and worser, not a word, your country actually is. You want the money to remain within your borders or your country loses powers. And this is why we have money laundering rules. That is the only reason for it. The idea of money laundering, especially when the US government knows exactly where all money flows are going and what you're buying and what you're doing. The idea of you moving around $9,999 and that not being illegal, but over $10,000 and not telling them is a load of nonsense. And the easiest way to constantly do this is say, well, people move that money around to do illicit things. What? To buy a car? To put a down payment on a house? Where is that money going, or what could it have been used for that it would be so illicit and be such a vice? Whoever wrote this article, you need help, to say that it has to do with something terrible such as money laundering, which I'm also going to get into in 1 second because I need everyone to see that as well. In his latest stance, Jamie Dimon has vowed to not offer it, and this is not strong enough. He said that he is never ever going to talk about Bitcoin again. That's why I said I hope with all my soul that this actually becomes true. Vowed to not offer his opinions about Bitcoin in the future, stressing that his views on the asset are already known, but also no one asked you. Not one single person. I can't, and I have no recollection, not one recollection in the last 8 years that I've been doing this channel of one YouTuber who's been like, I need Jamie Dimon on my channel because I need his explicit opinion on how exactly he feels about Bitcoin, especially since they've been offering all of this information for a number of years. No one has asked them. And every single time that they've claimed that Bitcoin was terrible or horrible or no one was using it, Bitcoin's price has only skyrocketed from there. Dimon acknowledged that other cryptocurrencies with real-world use cases might exist, unlike Bitcoin, which he referred to as a pet rock. This is not the 1970s, Mr. Dimon. For those of you who don't know what a pet rock is, I looked online. It is literally, I think, from the 80s, where I think people were selling like a literal rock, and I think that was part of the joke. Like, it's a pet rock. It's similar to Warren Buffett talking about rat poison squared. I assume that's something that people said in the 1500s because that's not. Can you imagine like someone doing something terrible to you and be like, oh, he's rat poison squared? However, he emphasized the importance of blockchain technology, once again bringing us back to good old 2014, because that was the idea back then, because these people are always stuck in the past. The idea was blockchain, not Bitcoin. And even more so, the thing that really solidified it for me is that every single company who has mentioned blockchain, not Bitcoin, has gotten into Bitcoin. We've seen that JPMorgan has at least securitizedly indirect exposure to Bitcoin. And we also know that they're actively working with a number of companies who, guess what, have the spot Bitcoin ETFs. So funny that you would make sure to mention that when not one person was asking you. He said, "This is the last time I've ever talked about this, Bitcoin. Blockchain is real. It's a technology. We use it. It's going to move money. There are cryptocurrencies that do something that might have value. And then there's one that does nothing. I call it Pet Rock, the Bitcoin, or something like that." How hilarious. That's amazing, as if he doesn't know what Bitcoin is. Or that it transfers trillions with a T of dollars worth of value through its blockchain every single month. You want to know why you might be jealous at that? Because those trillions of dollars are not flowing through JPMorgan and Chase, known as one of the worst banks on the entire planet. For those of you who don't want to do the research or don't want to look around, look at this article that I found. It's quite amazing. JPMorgan, for those of you not looking at the screen, JPMorgan Chase has paid 39, I'm rounding up here, 39 billion with a B, $39 billion in fines for banking, securities, and additional violations as new SEC enforcement action kicked in. This is an article from the 8th of July, 2023. The news is, for those of you who did not get it, is that JP Morgan alone, this is not the entirety of the banking sector. This is one bank. One institution has paid $39 billion in fines. For those of you who typically maybe don't know how fines work for banks or for institutions, you've definitely seen it before on TV. If you as a bank or a company or an institution, if it gets noted or is alleged that you might have allegedly done something wrong, let's say, I don't know, JP Morgan a couple years ago, it was alleged, you can Google this, that there was a large boat, and that boat apparently was filled to the brim, allegedly, with stuff that adults used in the 1980s in clubs. It's not snow. Okay, you got it. Wonderful. Allegedly, there was a gigantic boat that was found that belonged to JP Morgan that was full of snow. And in instances like this, if you are found or you are alleged to do something, you would get let's say they found out that you just happened to be moving around like $200 million worth of snow. You're fine, or you get in trouble for only a fragment of that. So you may only have to pay a fine of around $15 million, regardless of how much snow you were actually moving around. So to keep that into context, many times these companies, it is alleged that they've broken some type of a securities law, or they have multiple violations against them that may even amount to, you've done $1.4 billion worth of damage. You have to pay us $300 million. Imagine for a moment the size of their violations if the amount that they paid back was 39 billion US dollars. Do you understand the significance now? Because you never get in trouble for what you actually allegedly did. This is very similar for those of you who missed it. I believe it is the Congress of the United States of America, where they changed the laws to benefit them. So insider trading for everyday normal people's a no-no. You can't do it. It's terrible. However, we know that people, I believe it's the Congress, have traded based off of insider knowledge. That is to say, you can look this up. They may receive news of world events that are going to shape history, and they trade on that data and that news before it actually hits our ears or before it gets onto a computer screen for us to actually be able to read it. The issue is that if they are found, they usually are not found. If they are found in violation of insider trading laws, and let's say they actually ended up making $15 million from a trade, the problem is that their fine, their fee for having broken the law, is around $300. Look it up. Like literally look it up. A number of years ago, they changed the law to even lower in the amount that it previously was before, which was also nothing. If you make $20 million and you have to pay $300 back, you are going to continue to make $20 million per month because you don't care. That $300 to these people is a dinner somewhere. So imagine my surprise in finding that since last July, JPMorgan Chase alone has paid $39 billion worth of fees and then backing it on up. You have Jamie Dimon talking about how Bitcoin is used for illicit vices. This is why I told all of you before. The idea that these people are important is absolute nonsense. We've been told this since we were all little, and even before that, our parents and grandparents were told the same. Because these people have money, they know what's going on. They wouldn't lie to us, and in many cases, when they do lie, the public tends to forgive them. They go, well, I didn't want to say I've been in Bitcoin for a while. The general perception is that these people are not only like us, but were raised like us. That's why I always tell you before, if you ever hear a billionaire or a multi-millionaire say that they started a company by themselves in their basement or somewhere with a friend, these people were already rich, but that's also besides the point. So I would squeal with glee if Jamie Dimon and Warren Buffett and all these other people were never in the crypto, and Peter, was it Peter Schiff or was it Peter Thiel? Peter something, Peter Rabbit, whatever this guy's name is. If they were just never in the cryptocurrency news, they never have anything to actually add. We know that Bitcoin's slow. We know that Bitcoin's clunky, but Bitcoin has a tremendous amount of value. This can be said for every single blockchain, even ones that I don't care for, Solana. As long as there's value flowing through them, the chain itself then has some sort of value. Bitcoin's been going strong for 15 years without any hiccups and now has trillions of dollars flowing through it. We know that there are millions of people on the planet who are collecting, accumulating Bitcoin, but also a lot of people who are also using it because of the inflation that is marring, destroying, obliterating their local currency. Even if there was only two people, if there were only two people on the planet who were using Bitcoin to get away from inflation and or to use money that didn't have to do with their inflating local currency, that would give Bitcoin value. To be a banker and to sit there and lie and say that this thing has no value, that over 100 million people are using, you are rightfully lying to everyone because you're probably accumulating it yourself. So here's to potentially, hopefully, never having to hear Jamie Dimon ever say the word Bitcoin ever again because no one cares about his opinion, especially after having paid $39 billion in fines. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See